right, I'm back. We're back. We're back together. I'm here to read another poem. It's Ambria again. I went and combed my hair a little bit, groomed myself, and I'm back for another video. Just because I thought this video in particular here would help explain a little bit more about, my phone just fell, about like my motivations and where I come from, who I am as a person, the influence that my father and my family had on me, how similar I am to my father, for better and for worse, and how similar a lot of us are. We all have roots, we all come from somewhere, and we learn things from our parents, from our caretakers who are around us. And sometimes we're not taught the best things. I've been very lucky and very privileged throughout my life, financially privileged. My parents are still together. I had good examples, definitely growing up in the home. But for me as a very sensitive child, and for a lot of kids, there's just things that you need to overcome in different levels. Like I said, I'm privileged in certain ways that others are not, and vice versa. So anyway, this is a poem about, I guess, maybe privilege, but also about mental health and family, and coming from somewhere and learning how to identify those cycles. The dangerous cycles, the unhealthy cycles or toxic cycles that were in your childhood or your life. First, it helps me a lot to look back on them and write about it or laugh about it and smile. But certain things are definitely more traumatic. And for everybody, whatever you go through, whether it's traumatic or run-of-the-mill, I think it's important to say what it is, to name it. If you can name it, you can tame it and all those things. But, you have to first identify there is a problem before you work on fixing it. And so this channel is allowing me to do that. This poem is allowing me to do that. And I hope that it can also help other people identify family dysfunction, avoid future family dysfunction, right? Because that's why we're all doing this, to kind of break the chains, break the cycle, to have a better life for us and our children, even if you don't ever plan on having kids. Make it better for your younger brothers and cousins and neighbors and people who look up to you. There's always a child looking up to you, and so it's okay. It's okay not to be at your best. It's okay not to, there's always someone younger there to admire you. It's okay to stumble and fall, but you learn from your mistakes and you can teach others to learn from them, from your own mistakes as well. And hopefully they won't always repeat the silly things that we do as adults, right? So shout out to the kids again. This is a poem about anxiety, which people of all ages feel, and so I hope that it relates to somebody somewhere in some way. Yeah, that is my intro for that. So, the anxiety I get feels like drowning. Feels like 4 years old, standing next to my father's tall, endless legs. Him reciting to me a math problem, another lesson for today, after breakfast. Standing between my father and that kitchen table, I see lined paper and 2 pencils on display as placemats. His example goes on. My tiny brain wanders. I interrupt his soliloquy with a question. I have long jumped off the train of thought. God, what was the topic again? What was the number? We used to have a number for each morning that we studied. He based the lesson around it. The number was randomized each day, seemingly to me, but he and my mother took turns teaching me every single day. His lessons were notably tougher. We learned how to add with the number of the day, we learned how to subtract, and I suppose division was coming soon had we continued the lessons into first grade. But now I am 4. Kindergarten has not yet started, and again my mind wanders. I am small, and my father's brain is bigger, and I don't know what to do. What was that number again? I had forgotten it. I asked him about it unthinkingly. My first teacher, my dad, his face looked down at mine, frowned. It looks like my face, losing concentration. Ambria, I'm not going to tell you. And it makes sense, I think to myself. After all, he has just said it. The answer is out in space somewhere. I had failed to hold on to it, a ball he had tossed me, but I couldn't keep the grip. It slid through my fingers and out of my ears onto the pavement. I had to figure this one out for myself. So with no indication in his face or voice, I guessed. 4, I supply. No. I stare at the lined paper below me, counting the punched holes up one by one. The answer to his riddle exists. I know it. I can find it. What's the magic number? I counted the holes again for some sort of sign. 6? Yes, he says, answering after my little heart has skipped a beat, and I wondered if I would have to guess again. Disappoint again. I always try to limit how many times I do that. Looking back, I am not sure if he said yes due to some sort of pity, or if I had actually managed to give the right answer at the right time after all. What I do remember is that there was no follow-up. The speech was over. I sat down at the desk. The lesson begins. Addition this time, and different numbers jump up from the page. They all mix together after a while. Sometimes it all feels like drowning, that familiar feeling I dread when I don't understand something at school or at home and he refuses to throw me a life jacket. I am treading water, and as my head goes beneath the surface, he is telling me to kick harder. He is floating next to me, watching, smiling. Swimming came easier to him. It always had. If he had ever felt fear, it was long before I was born, down at the shores in the south where he was born. But today, we are in the ocean, in a pool. I would like to say that he had thrown me in, but I jumped all of my own accord. I wanted to be like him, to be near him, to have him proud of me. After a while, Dad let me go, and I was made to sink or swim on my own. Whether I did or not was a reflection of me, and only me. He had given me the knowledge, and I had to apply it fast and perfectly. Don't waste your coach's time. My mother on the sidelines assuring me I was the best part of myself. She didn't swim, not nearly as well anyway, but she loved me far enough that I felt it to my core. Still, it was not enough to make me float. My outsides were all of my father, heavy and unconfident and strange. A stern glance, an impatient huff, but he was happier in the water. And this was supposed to be a fun day, sunny, a vacation even, if only I could leave my head. I practiced with my father over hours and days as a kid, swimming. As a teenager, I took a lifeguard class all on my own. I passed the exam. I gave myself over. I pushed and I pushed. The first endurance test nearly killed me. I made friends, or at least I met people, boys and girls who I connected with on a level for a time as we practiced how to live and let die, to sacrifice oneself. I learned to save him if I could. My mother picked me up from that last day. In their room at home, I showed my dad a certificate of achievement. Although I can't remember exactly, I believe he smiled big. And now it has been so many years. I strive to always have an answer. I fear the appetite of anxiety, letting it overwhelm me, deepening like oceans overhead. 1,000,000 years later, I am still afraid of anxiety, of the stillest water. But I refuse to let myself drown. So that was my poem about a lot of things, about anxiety and my dad, my relationship to him and my mother. And these are things that impact all of us. I think it's important to look back at how you were raised, how you want to raise people around you, identify the good and the bad, like I said in the beginning. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to not agree with everything that your parents did. It's okay to pick and choose the bright light and life that you want to follow. You can make your own path. You don't have to keep making the same mistakes if you know they're hurting you and hurting others. And you don't have to do what your parents did. Even if you've already done some of that, you don't have to. You can pick and choose the good and leave the bad. Choose the good from what your parents have taught you and leave the rest. And that's what I am trying to do and will continue to do. But again, I'm always here for progress and listening. If I have not done that, or if there's a better way to do it, please tell me, because it's hard to, stay mentally healthy and safe, and warm and cared for, maybe. It's hard to do that sometimes. So I want to know that I care about you and I care for you, stranger on the internet. So that's it for this video. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day. Go out and make some art and do some cool things of your own. Okay? And leave a comment, I guess. And always make sure to be honest and kind. Okay, that's it. I promise. Love you. Bye.